always keeping you ahead of the changing weather.
Well, good Monday morning, folks. Hopefully you're starting off our Christmas week on a good note. We are looking at some nice weather to extend over the next couple of days. And the big weather story this week for us here locally is some fairly hot temperatures for this time of year that we are expecting heading towards Christmas Day. We're going to take a look at that. And then also coming up a little bit later to the show, we're going to look back at some of the best space-related viewer videos and pictures we got sent so far for the year. And then we're going to close it out, just kind of look at how we compare to average throughout the year so far. We'll look at each month and kind of see our average temp for the month and also our precipitation that we saw and see how that relates to average. So first thing we want to look at is just a lot of sunshine out there. It is a beautiful start to the work week. We do have temperatures right now in the 40s in most spots, and we're going to see a fairly nice Monday on tap. Live look outside of our Beach Island camera. We are going to keep our skies generally sunny for the rest of today and expecting those temperatures to eventually climb to near 60 for an afternoon high temp. Right now we're still at 49 degrees here around the Augusta Metro, so it's been a slow climb with those temps. We actually saw morning temps waking up early, close to 40 out there, so haven't really increased a ton just yet. But as we get later into today, should be able to get those temperatures once again upper 50s to low 60s. Here's a look at current temperatures across the board. We've been losing a couple of our observation sites here around I-20 and north of that, but you can see kind of just a mixture of upper 40s to low 50s across the area right now, and most spots are within a few degrees of that. As we head later into the day, here's a look at that planner. High temp around 60 in most locations, and then if you're going to be heading out for your Monday evening, those temps will fall back down to the 40s a couple of hours after sunset. Here's our setup. Looking at the radar network, not going to be tracking any rain over the next several days, all thanks to high pressure. This is centered just north of the region and gradually trying to push off the Carolina coast the rest of today. So that's going to bring us a pretty steady east-northeast wind. Not overly windy, but just kind of a steady wind with some very dry air in place. This has led to a special weather statement in many of our western counties. This is just letting us know with dry fuel on the ground and the dry air in place, any fire that starts can spread pretty quickly out there. So just a heads up for that. Relative humidity will be below 30% across most of the area throughout the day, and that northeast wind will continue, generally staying between 5 to 10, but may see some gusts a little bit higher than that. Here's a look at those high temps for the rest of this afternoon. I would say upper 50s in the northern CSRA, low 60s for us here around Evans, Augusta, and anywhere further south, closer to I-16, you'll likely be the warmer spots in the mid 60s. Heading into tonight, we're going to keep our overnight lows generally in the low 40s, waking up early tomorrow morning. Seeing a few passing clouds out there early Tuesday, but getting back some sun later into tomorrow afternoon. And those high temperatures tomorrow do start to warm up a little bit. So we're back with this warming trend that will continue past today and expecting those highs in the upper 60s out there tomorrow. And then as we head towards Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, well, that's when we're talking about some December heat. We're expecting high temps about 15 degrees above average through the Christmas holiday, and it looks like these temps in the 70s will stick around even all the way through the weekend. Now, these aren't quite record-setting high temps for this time of year. Those record highs this time of year are close to 80. I don't think we'll get that warm, but definitely some mid-70s out there for several days in a row, so we'll be within about 5 degrees of record highs out there. Now, not records, but if you look back at our warmest Christmas highs here in Augusta, if we do see that high of 76, well, that puts it fairly high up onto the list and actually does make it into the top 10 for warmest Christmases here on record here in the Augusta area. So not just warm for this time of year, but actually could be a top 10 warmest Christmas across many spots. All right, quick look at your 7-day outlook. We are going to hang on to plenty of sun over the next few days. Remember, just looking at those warmer temperatures through Christmas and even into the weekend. Definitely no big cool down in sight. Stick with us. We're going to have a look at those space videos sent in by y'all over the year coming up just after a short break. Welcome back in, folks. One of the things we like to do as we get towards the end of the year is look back at any impressive weather pictures or videos that maybe y'all sent in to our website or through our app. And for today, I wanted to look back at specifically some space-related videos that we got sent throughout the year. We had a bunch of really cool things in the night sky out there. Let's take a look at it. So first, I wanted to start off with this. This was actually a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket launch. So these sometimes can be visible to us here in the CS array. They have to launch from the Cape Canaveral site. And if it's timed right to be a little bit before sunrise or a little bit after sunset, we can actually see the vapor trail from the rocket, and this is what it looked like. So this was back in July. We just saw that video from Terry Hooker, and then this was a picture sent in by Amy Wesson. Such an impressive look right there. And those SpaceX rockets, well, usually they launch the Starlink satellite chain. So a couple of days after that rocket launch, we had some really good videos of the Starlink satellites that could be seen over the CS array. This was sent in by Amelia Torres out of Hephzibah. That is one of the coolest things you can see in the night sky, whether it be the rocket launch or those Starlink satellites. And I'm sure many people remember this. This was actually a fireball that we could see in the middle of the day. This was taken by John Schneider from his dash cam while he was driving through Evans, Georgia. We're going to slow it down for you right there. You see the left part of your screen just gradually dropping through the sky towards the horizon, and just a very rare opportunity to see a daytime fireball. This actually ended up through a Henry County home, at least pieces of it. And University of Georgia actually got to study some of those fragments and determined it was older than the Earth, about 4.56 billion years old. Earlier this year, we also had a total lunar eclipse that happened on March 14th. We had some great viewer photos submitted of that. Always cool to see that red glow during that total eclipse. And we cannot forget about the Northern Lights. For the second year in a row, the Northern Lights made their way this far south, all thanks to a very strong geomagnetic storm that actually rated about a 9 on the KP index. Had some phenomenal pics. That was actually Mr. First Alert Meteorologist Malik Bryant. He took that picture from Clarksville Dam, and then Angela Allen got some phenomenal pictures up towards the lake where you actually see some of those green hues with the aurora. So fantastic stuff. And then wanted to close out with Comet Limon. Comet Limon, not sure how it's pronounced, but hey, this was some incredible views that were sent in by our viewers, and this you did need a telescope or a good pair of binoculars to check out, so our viewers had some pretty fantastic cameras that were able to capture some views there of Comet Limon. So thank you everyone for sending in those viewer pictures and videos. We love sharing them with y'all, and we hopefully will have some more cool stuff to see in the night sky coming up later into 2026. Stick with us. Coming up, we're going to look back at the year so far and how we've compared to average. Stick with us.
Yeah, I got you.
Welcome back in, everyone. Looking back at our month-to-date rainfall for us here in Augusta, we are on a good trend. Remember, the last couple of months have been well below average as far as rainfall goes. For the month of December so far, we're about a ½ inch above normal. This is thanks to about an inch of rain we saw last Thursday night into early Friday morning, so that definitely helped the cause a little bit. But if you look back at our year-to-date rainfall, well, we're about ½ a foot below where we should be for this time of year. So that's why we have our continued drought conditions across the area. These drought conditions did improve with the latest update that came out last Thursday. It did drop our severe drought that was in effect across most of the southern CSRA. Now we're down to a moderate drought, which is a level still 2 out of 5. We do still need some rain found across the area, but luckily not quite as dire of a situation as what it was just a few weeks ago, thanks to that beneficial rain that we saw last week. Now, looking at our precipitation outlook over the next, as we push ahead to the 6 to 10 day outlook, so this would be past Christmas towards the start of the new year. Well, it looks like our pattern is going to remain drier than normal. Not tracking any rain chances for the rest of this week. Even next week looks to be fairly dry across a good portion of the region. And our warm temperatures do look to continue as well through the rest of our Christmas week, and even as we welcome in the new year. It looks like all the way through at least the first couple of days of January, our temperatures will be trending a little bit above average. But some of the longer term model guidance I've been looking at does show maybe a cool down by New Year's Day. Now, here's a look at 2025 in review. So if you remember back to this past January, that was a frigid month. We were actually about 7 degrees below average. That's when we had our couple of snow events that did occur during the month of January. Well, then things did start to warm up as we headed towards late winter, early spring. April was well above average with those temperatures. And then we kind of leveled it out a little bit to start off the summer months. June, pretty close to average there. Jumped up a little bit during the month of July. But then as we got to the month of August, well, that was a relatively cool August we just had. That was about 4 degrees below average. We continued that cooler trend through the first couple of months of fall, and then throughout the month of November, not too far away from average. It was just a tad above normal for that time of year. So far for the month of December, we've been trending kind of average. We had a very cool start, but then it kind of leveled out with these warm temperatures that we are seeing this week. Here's a look at our rainfall. This is what's impressive. The only month we really saw excessive rain that was well above average was during the month of May. That was off the charts wet for us. But since May, we have yet to record a month with above average precipitation. And actually, over the last several months, we have been about 50% or less of our average rainfall for any given month during that time of year. So we desperately do need some rain, and it doesn't necessarily look like there's a ton in our forecast over the next several days. Wanted to leave you with this, looking at our fish and game forecast. If you're going to be heading up to the lake, you got a great window at 4 p.m. later this afternoon, so best of luck if you're heading that direction. We got some great weather to get outside for the rest of the week. We got mid-70s by Wednesday, and talking about Christmas highs staying in the mid-70s for us. Going to toss it over to Ashley Jones for FastCast.